There's a voice deep inside every dad calling him to lead. Society, vices, inner demons, negative thoughts try to dampen and drown out that voice, but it never goes away. Your wife feels it, your children feel it, and your heart and soul feel it too. It's the voice that starts off as a whisper, but then becomes a calling to be the tip of the spear for your family, a calling to play all out and lead by example for your children, a calling to build a legacy that will go on for generations, a calling to be the warrior dad you were born to be. Dads, our children need us now more than ever to be that beacon of hope, courage, positivity, and strength. It's time to rise as warrior dads together as a brotherhood. If you felt that twinge in your soul, it's time for the Warrior Dad Experience. Welcome to the show. I am extremely excited to have special guest Kevin Goodnight on the show. Kevin, welcome to the show, my man.
Dude, I've got chills from the intro, man. Let's get this thing rolling.
Listen, that's the point of it, right? Energy, chills. We're going to get into a great discussion. If you would, for the audience sake, would love to hear a little background, a little bio about yourself, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I did, just so you know, you don't know this, but you keep me accountable just based on who you are. So I got a workout in this morning, or just about an hour ago. So the blood's pumping, a little back and bis and a little core. So just so you know that even though we talk every so often, you've got that accountability without even telling me anything. So appreciate what you do. Look, I live in the suburbs of Houston. I'm a dad of two awesome boys. I have a teenager in the house as of today. So I've got a 13-year-old son, a 10-year-old son. I've got my bride of 18 years, and we are just in the throes of life. And doing what we do. We do a lot of fun stuff. My 9 to 5, I run a flooring business, focusing on construction, multifamily. It's fast and furious. I run hard, and then my wife works from the home. She's pursuing counseling and her master's degree. We love raising these little crazy little humans and young warriors. And then my calling, as of in 2020, was that to write and challenge dads. And I would love to say I woke up one day in 2020 and it was bullseye in your face. This is your calling. It was actually a calling of me getting out of my own way over the course of 2 years and morphing into this person who has become a Dadvoted and a leader of dads. And what's the craziest part about this is I was so far removed from what I thought was in the right zone, in the right mode, because and we'll talk about a lot about what that does, and that grew this. But basically, I woke up one day and told my wife I feel a calling to write for our family legacy. I got a lot to teach these boys over the next 10 years or so. But who writes books? Nobody writes books. I'm a flooring guy, right? I run a business, and we go on to the end. We go on to the end of that year, and we go to a wedding. And I'm journaling, and I'm like, man, this could become a book. And a lady I've never met in my life comes up to me and says, you are going to write a book one day. And I looked at my wife and I said, is this my calling? And she said, I think it is. And there's a lot of my journey of faith, my journey of sobriety. I'm 450 something days sober, man. It's been just a revolutionary change. And, like I say, from all of this, if there's one person that I always say, we always want to change one person. Well, one person's been changed, and you're looking at him. And me changed the trajectory of my kids, my family, my legacy. And that's why me and you have hit it off so well, and so excited to challenge and charge dads today. And I'll let you introduce kind of what we're talking about. But that's my call. My call is to partner and lock arms with guys like you in this brotherhood of fatherhood. And we come at it from different angles. You're a maniac human, and I love it. I come at it from a balance and wellness and faith perspective. But we're both beautiful that we're charged. We've got our blinders on, and we want to challenge and charge dads to be just a little bit better. That's it.
Yeah, love it. Love it, my man. And thank you for those kind words when you let off. Glad you got a workout in, right? That's the magic pill everybody just doesn't realize, right? Like you
No
can
doubt.
literally transform your life, but just by moving the body. So love that piece. And thanks for sharing your journey and your arc and where you are now. And
Yeah.
yes, so excited for us to be connected because I know you've got a big mission and vision. I do as well. This is how we make a dent in the universe. And,
Yeah.
when we talk about legacy, at the end of the day, Kevin, that's what truly matters. I still remember the last deep conversation I had with my mother, and
Yeah.
she was worried she was going to be forgotten when she, was going to go on hospice care for breast cancer nearly 9 years ago. It's not going to be anything else. It's going to be what your legacy is. So let's dive into that, that lie, the male
Yeah.
PMS and the lie we've been fed about power, money, and status.
Yeah.
Explain what that lie is for the audience so they can kind of get a context. And
Yeah.
then I'm sure we'll have a back and forth on it.
Yeah, no, it's kind of something that's morphed over time, and it's a lie that I was fed, and it was generational as well, and it's I call it male PMS, and it's not about moody hormonal fluctuations or anything. It is literally that we are being taught, driven, and expected all about power, money, and status, and rooted in more PMS, which is pride, materialism, and selfishness. And look, we're men. We are wired to work. I'm not saying this has anything to do about not wanting to achieve and be high achievers and perform, but it's when
Right.
performance and accolades drive everything that our family suffers, our marriage suffers. And here's the thing: the world applauds this, and the world expects this. Corporate expects this. They expect when I say 9 to 5. If one of my executives is listening right now, they're cringing, going, there's no such thing as 9 to 5. Well, I believe in a balanced life of 8, 8, 8. You work for 8 hours, you sleep for 8 hours, and then you're with your family and you work on your passions for 8 hours. Now, some days it's 10, 7, and 7, and it's mixed around those. But we've been culturally fed this lie that it's about power, money, and status. And today it's really about how do we wake up? How do we transition? What does that look like? Who do you surround yourself with to rid yourself of this male PMS? So that's kind of the framework and the basis of what is happening. But unfortunately, this muscle through blinder mentality. And here's the sad part. And it was 20 years of my life, and I was on a trajectory of you one day wake up and you're trying to build this and you're trying to build your own kingdom, and you're full and you think it's going to be all about this, and you wake up and you're empty one day, and you have a roommate situation at home with your spouse, your kids see you as an ATM, and you have no meaningful manly relationships to grow on. And then you wake up with regret, guilt, shame, fear, and you continue to self-medicate, all these things. I know these are buzzwords with you because you lived it as well, man. And that's male PMS. It's just ingrained and it's accepted in society, and we've got to crush this mentality.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, brother. I think it's everywhere, right? I had shared a post, and I know you had commented today on
Oh yeah,
2 20-somethings in the sauna talking about how tomorrow they're not going to work out because they're going to be so drunk. One guy talking about how he hurt his lip and then had to go to the doctors and messed up one of his glands. And it was just like, holy crap, that was me in my 20s. And it was me in my 30s even, right? I spent 20 years in this kind of mode, striving to get to a next level, but never able to get there because of those things that were sedating me as a man, whether it's alcohol, porn, gambling, social media, all those things that just, I love to say, chip away at who we are as a human being and as a man. And then it's tough to look at ourselves in the mirror day in and day out. And then you wonder why you play small. So, celebrate you on those number of days without alcohol. I'm almost at the end of this year, it'll be 2 years for me. So same thing, like just the clarity and the energy it gives you is so powerful. So, how do you think we've been programmed? I mean, I know what my feelings are, but what are some ways to kind of break from that programming that we've been indoctrinated with and really is so ingrained into men and dads specifically?
Yeah, man. Great question. And I really, it stems from Men, a lot of it keeping it all inside. And we have fled from two things. We have fled from accountability, and we have moved away from mentorship. So, and let me break down my view and let's chat about it. I'd love to get your view. But accountability is lining up with like-minded, not like they're like-minded, but lining up with similar age, similar stage in life men that can go arm in arm together in life. My journey of sobriety started with that. I said, hey, I mean, this sounds awful, but I had a spreadsheet. I'm going to track my drinks for a month. And I just want you to be somebody, I have to track it every day. And it was embarrassing. You go through a month, even with somebody watching what you're drinking, it was embarrassing. And there were days I just left, I put an asterisk. I knew I'd had 10, 12 drinks, but I wasn't going to put the number down. So that accountability of somebody that challenges you, and even on that portion of the porn, the gambling, that side, you need somebody that speaks truth into your life. That men, iron sharpens iron, I believe, and that men need that. We've gone into this again, that muscle up, muscle through. This is all about me. I got this. I'm a man. It's like, guys, we've got to lock arms, and it doesn't matter if you're men of faith, if you're not, it's just men have to be together. Now that's accountability. Mentorship on the other side, it's twofold. It's somebody at least 10 years older than you that has lived more life, that speaks goodness and truth into you, calls you out. And then somebody at 10 years younger that you're speaking into. So it's twofold. It's not just a feed me mentality. It's also you pouring in. So I have a 30-year-old guy that I'm pouring into, and it helps my accountability too, that I'm pouring into somebody else, similar to probably you in coaching, right? Yep. You're the practitioner, right? I think you've used that word. When I mess up, my kids go, wow, Dad, that wasn't very Dadvoted of you, right? It's like, oh, that's what chapter did you write about the, a meltdown, Dad? I mean, I'm like, oh, was that chapter 46? How do you yelling at your kids? So that is become my accountability. And that's the thing that I think is holding us back is lack of accountability and absolutely no mentorship. And I'd like to get your thoughts. And then I have a story to tell you of two men who went different directions, but give me your thoughts on just that big picture topic.
Yeah. Accountability is such a missing piece. I feel like we get to adulthood and you have zero to little accountability. And most of the time, if you're in a career, it's your job that has any semblance of accountability. So you can do whatever the heck you want any time of the day other than, just making sure you're paying the bills. So lack of accountability is everywhere. And you can play so small, so easily in life, meaning you can say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, but you never tell anybody about it. And that's how 99% of people say, do things. They say something, but don't say it to anybody else. They just keep it internally. And then they're a half foot on the island, a half foot in the boat.
Yep.
And they don't get anywhere. And I literally was talking to one of the dads in class 6 of the Warrior Dad Experience. I'm like, 99% of people half-ass their entire life and they want extraordinary results.
That's right.
You're not going to get there if you think you're going to get a half an effort. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. Right. So lack of accountability, that's where I went down those dark, deep holes in my life and had to dig out of because I didn't have anybody that I was accountable to. Right. In my coaching programs, I mean, I'm accountable because I'm the tip of the spear. I'm checking in every day. I'm doing the work. Yes, I'm a practitioner. I mean, I'm 30 days away, Kevin, from meditating for at least 10 minutes a day for six straight years.
Yeah.
Right. Like I do it. So accountability is so important, having somebody. And I will tell you the main thing that gets in the way for dads is ego.
Yeah.
Ego. No, what are you saying? I'm not saying you're not good enough. I'm just saying, could you get better?
Yeah.
Could you have a growth mindset? I always say, and I tell my boys this and my wife all the time, I'm always on this iterative process now of getting better.
Yeah.
And I don't know everything. The more I learn, the less I know. Right. No. And that's the journey. And when you can when you can put the ego aside for a second and say, hey, maybe this guy's got something that might teach me something, might be able to up level as a dad or a husband or just a leader, man, it's incredibly powerful. So I'll stop right there on the accountability piece if you have anything to add.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I wasn't a bad dad. I wasn't, abusive. I just was I was in the house, but I wasn't present. I wasn't
Mm,
fully present. And I think we could go on a tangent on fatherlessness, and we know that all the stats on fatherlessness, but I think where I come at is more that young professional or that professional dad who's just trying to climb and at what all cost. And they don't realize that they're leaving behind these beautiful people that they've been entrusted to lead, but
mhm.
they're given, well, like I would like to say, they're they're alive at work but dead at home. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just one of those. And look, that was me. I'm not saying this isn't a call to anybody. This was me.
Mhm.
I mean, I had hit every accolade. I had won every award. I had never missed a promotion up until I get this calling to write this book, and then I go and try to manufacture my own success, and doors completely slammed. I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, that book, I'll write that book, whatever. Door shuts. I'm like, okay. And I'm talking from friends in the industry that said, it's not if we hire you, it's when we hire you. So I'm
Right.
trying to manufacture these things, trying blinders on. Finally, I had to pump the brakes and go, maybe my calling is this writing. And then again, lining up, and me and you talk about when you are living something and you have that wake up moment. I wrote the book in 4 months. I mean,
Mm.
it was a through 2.5 year journey of me trying to get out of my own way, and then the floodgates opened. Book was
Right.
written in 4 months, and I'm not very cocky and arrogant, but it was good, and it's good,
Mm.
and it launched
Mm.
4 or 5 months ago, and we've had great success with it. And but again, it changed the trajectory of my life from in terms of how do I show up every day. But that accountability, mentorship, and just so I'll tell you a story of even going into this is from a year ago. I'm about to launch the book. Let me get my timeline straight. It was earlier this year. I'm about to launch the book. I go into a fatherhood breakfast. The
Mhm.
World Needs a Father. It's a fantastic organization, ministry out of South Africa.
Okay.
Um, and I love, I'm so thankful where we live in America, but I mean, we don't know what they go through in other parts of the world. I mean, the
Right.
fatherlessness is just brutal there. And he started this ministry, and I was sitting at this breakfast, and a buddy of mine who's a high powered guy at an oil and gas company, makes plenty of money, but he's going down that path of that I kind of talked about, roommate situation at a while. His
Mhm.
kids love him. He's a great dad, but he's just in this work. Blinders on, roommate situation. I can see what's building. He goes, man, I want that mentorship. I need
Mm.
that. And I've
Mm.
said, I do too. I don't have that. So two men, one goes left, one goes right. He goes right, he goes home. I
Mm.
go left. I go to the stage. I say, hey, I just want to let you know I have a calling for dads. And he goes, I picture, and right before this, even he said, I picture somebody in this room that's going to speak to thousands of men one day. And I'm like,
Nice.
that's me. and so
There you go.
I go up, and I'm talking to him, and he says, you need to introduce you to Percy. Percy then brings me to his house the next week to another training on the World Needs a Father. That then leads me to another certification class that I go through, where I meet this gentleman named Johannes who goes on these crazy men's retreats and just is this. I mean, he might make you look a little weak, little soft. I'm just saying. and and so I'm like, you're going to be my mentor. So I
Mm.
don't have this mentor. It's now I have this 62-year-old South African freaking stud who is my mentor. And now I'm speaking in to another kid who's up and coming and going through life's challenges.
Mhm.
And my buddy who went right, still going right.
Mm.
And it's that one decision for me led to another decision, led to another decision. Now all this thing, and I'm speaking into men's lives on the daily. Guys calling me, hey, let's talk about this. Let's work through this. And I'm working it in a passion for men and dads, but I'm doing it in such a way that I'm not neglecting my family.
Right.
And my family's actually getting more of me. And that's been the most beautiful part of all this, pure intentionality and just running hard with my family.
Yeah, no, I love, and mentorship is so powerful, and coaching, right? Getting coaching. I was, as I was preparing for the interview, I kind of went through my mental Rolodex, and I was like, because some people, and dad specifically, balk at paying for coaching or paying for. I think, Kevin, I've spent north of $70,000 on coaching.
Yeah.
Like, because the greatest gift I can ever give myself is to invest in myself. There's no cost. Cost is what you pay for a glass of, a gallon of milk, and then it's gone.
Yep.
An investment it just pays so much down the road. And especially when you talk about legacy and being able to share what you learn with your kiddos. I always say, in the Warrior Dad, like, we learn at the highest level. So we learn, take action, but then we share the journey with our kids. Like, my kids are up attacking the gym 3 days a week at 5 a.m. at the Y. And why is it? It's because I've shared the journey with them. I've shared how grit, effort, determination, resiliency are going to be a determining factor in their success and thriving in life. Right. And, the only way I got there was from paying people to hear their journey and to give their wisdom and to say I could learn something new and have that growth mindset. And I think that's so important. And everybody is going through something.
Yep.
Right. That's the other piece is so many times we discount just having, one conversation. You made one choice and that changed your trajectory and your buddy's trajectory. Completely different. So it's so incredibly powerful. You mentioned, the power, money, status. It's one or two ways a dad who might be listening to this and stuck in that rut and say, holy crap, they're like talking about me right now.
Yeah.
What are one or two things they can do to make that change? And I always like to say, whenever you're creating a new habit or a new pattern, make it so small, so easy, it's almost laughable.
Sure.
Right. We're wired by society, again, to hit that grand slam, walk off a bat flip home run to win the game. But what's maybe one or two things in your experience as a dad and talking to dads that, maybe a dad that's going that left path can do to change his trajectory and pour into his kids and family?
Yeah, man, I got 17 things going through, but it's almost through. It's how do we understand the future, our legacy? How to start with the end in mind, right? And it's almost a visualization. Like, to go morbid, but think about yourself at the end of your life. And we talk about, I forget who quotes it, but they talk about the dash on your tombstone. That's all that matters. The day you're born, the day you die, it's all about the dash. What did you do with that time? I mean, I'm 41, about to be 42. I've reached the halfway point. I could be more than the halfway point. So for me, that little thing is, how do you start with the end in mind? And then work your way back to 10 years, then work your way back to 5 years, then work your way back to a year, and then kind of work yourself into a plan. I'm a huge proponent of the morning routine. My best time at 5 is from 5 to 8 a.m. I conquer more in that day for myself than I do for the rest. So I would look at that. So many little things, if you waste 10 minutes, for every 10 minutes you waste, it's 60 hours a year.
Yep.
60 flipping hours. And I think we've just gotten so ingrained, the phone, the social media, this. And look, you're trying to build a brand. I'm trying to build a brand. You got to have, that's inherent. But I think we've come to realize we don't realize how much time we're wasting. So that's the small picture. Big picture is that accountability, mentorship, coaching, line up. I mean, you've got to line up. You've got to start with learning about yourself, your identity, and then you got to do an investment. If we're going to go, I like the alliteration. I like the I's, identity, investment. But it starts with the individual. It starts with self-awareness. You've got to do a self-check. You've got to meet with some people that will kick you in the face. And I had some people that kicked me in the face. I had some people that avoided me on their sobriety journey because I was the one who rallied them. And I said, Joseph, I had a buddy. I'm like, I saw him. I said, dude, you're freaking 50 pounds less. What happened? He goes, I stopped drinking 6 months ago, or 4 months ago, but I was afraid to tell you because you're my drinking buddy. And we summertime swim team drinking buddies. And that's what we get so caught up in, this ego, dude. You nailed it on that, the pride, the ego. And so I really think that's those small baby steps of asking people how you can get better. So I know that's big picture. Think legacy, end in mind, bring it back, start small.
Yeah, I love that piece. And I always like to say the line, you can't read the label when you're inside the bottle. Yeah. And it's great to get outside perspective of what somebody might see you as, or you see yourself one way, but other people might have a totally different perception, and they're going to give you some honest truth. And, just on the sobriety piece, I mean, I delayed kind of fully committing 2 years ago till Valentine's Day when I told my wife. So all month of January, I didn't have a drink, and I was doing it to train for one of those Goggins crazy races. And, a month and a half before I told her, and then I shared it with everybody else. Right. And I think there's, in our DNA and in human nature, you want to be communal, right? We want to be bonded with people. But I would challenge you, dad listeners, are you bonded and are you in the right communities?
Yeah.
Because I have no problem now, 2 years down the road, of being the outlier. I tell my sons all the time, you want an extraordinary life, you got to be the outlier, because everybody else is just going down that common, average, mediocre, suffocating way. And they're just punting on life. And it's a brutal way to live, because we only get one trip around the sun as dads. I mean, one of my posts that went viral was, by age 12, 75% of your time with your kids is done. By 18, 95% of the time you're going to get with your kids is done.
Crazy.
If you can't take that in and say, holy crap, I need to make a change, I need to do what Kevin said, it's incredibly, incredibly powerful. And I will tell you, and I'm sure you can second this, when you intentionally pour into your family, when I've got 2 boys, 15 and 13, a little bit older than your guys.
Yeah.
When I pour into those guys and we have a great gym session, or I'm just rebounding from, I hug them, give them a kit, that's what matters at the end of the day. Right. And it's so important to be aware of that. And to your point, intentionality, and intentionally pour into your kiddos.
Yeah, I speak to it as there's intangibles and tangible leave behinds. And in the terms of legacy, and it's sad, the definition of legacy, number one definition, is money or land left to those behind. That's what the Merriam and Oxford says. The secondary definition is about the intangibles you'll leave behind. So the world's got it so wrong and backwards. It is about it's not about this money and things that you leave behind. I'm not saying sell it all or don't work hard, but I'm just saying there's so much more of a intangible leave behind of perseverance, grit, hard work, passion, purpose, identity. Those are the things that we're missing. The world has fooled us. We're going down this rabbit hole. We're trying to find more money, more this. You make this, then it's just, the bonus check that's coming is already spent before it even gets to most of us, right?
Right.
The savings rates, everything, all that stuff is awful of what we're up against. And but that's, again, at the end of the day, what are you going to do with the one life that you were given to live? And that's it. And that's not going to leave just one generation. We're talking multi-generational impact. That's the heart that you have with Warrior Dad. That's the heart I have with Dadvoted, and speaking truth into, and sometimes the truth is hard. Speaking from a heart of love, sometimes you do have to have those tough conversations with a dad or with a friend or with your son. But that's the goal, is how do we leave this intangible, shift the mindset to a legacy mindset, and leaving an intangible benefits to our children that then go for years and years and years.
I always say it only takes one dad to change a family tree forever. And if you would let that sink in, you could be that one dad that 5 generations down the line, they talk about, that's worth so much more. I think, than the financial or land or whatever the Webster's dictionary definition is. I appreciate you standing and fighting with me in this journey. I'm not satisfied where society is headed. Polarization, anger, hatred, epic levels of depression, anxiety. We got to stand up and fight. So I appreciate you being on this journey with me. Kevin, where can people find you? Where can they find the book?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is pretty much Dadvoted. Dadvoted.com is the website. We've got Amazon. You can pick up the book. It's Dadvoted, and then it's Dads Devoted to Discovering Their Duty, Direction, and Destiny, the 3 most important triple Ds. And then LinkedIn, my name, of course, all the other socials, Dadvoted. But I'm excited, man. A lot of cool stuff ahead, and excited to continue to partner with like-minded men like you, that we're just the fatherhood, the brotherhood of fatherhood, man. It's a tight knit, and we've got a battle ahead of us, but we're taking steps every day to leave an impact and influence those around us, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin, for being on the show.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Dare to be uncommon. Love, lead, legacy, create a legendary day. And I'll talk to you soon.